U.S. President Donald Trump has vented his anger at the impeachment inquiry Democrats are pursuing over his phone call with the Ukrainian president.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, it was just a follow-up of what I just asked you, sir.
You ready? We have the President of Finland. Ask him a question.
I have one for him. I just wanted to follow up.
President Trump putting on a combative front during a news conference with Finnish leader Sauli Niinisto at the White House. He called the impeachment process a hoax.
He also attacked Adam Schiff, the Democratic point man in the impeachment probe, calling him, and I quote, "Shifty Schiff," and saying he should resign from office in disgrace.
Democrats have warned the White House to expect legal summonses demanding documents related to Mr. Trump's handling of Ukraine. The president is accused of pressing Ukraine's leader to dig up dirt on his rival Joe Biden, whose son worked on the board of a Ukrainian gas company.
Believe it or not, I watch my words very carefully. There are those that think I'm a very stable genius, okay? I watch my words very, very closely. And to have somebody get up and to totally fabricate a conversation that I had with another leader and make it sound so bad, it was so evil.
And for more on that, let's cross over now to Simon Marks in Washington, D.C. Simon, we've seen the president incensed before. Is he feeling the heat here?
Yeah, I think there's no question about that, Dawn. And it wasn't just the fact that Donald Trump was visibly angry and furious yesterday. It was the fact that he was visibly angry and furious for such a sustained period of time. There were two separate appearances with the President of Finland. When the President of Finland arrived at the White House, they sat side by side in the Oval Office for that traditional photo opportunity where a foreign leader is sitting and talking to the President of the United States. In that appearance, President Trump vented his spleen against his congressional critics, particularly Congressman Adam Schiff, who heads the Intelligence Committee in the House of Representatives, repeating once again that not only does he view Adam Schiff as someone who should resign, but that he views Adam Schiff as someone who should be arrested and charged with treason. And then, 3 hours later, when the two men held a joint press conference at the White House, a joint press conference in which the President of Finland barely got a look in, President Trump was still in an absolute fit of rage. And the difficulty for the President and his supporters here is that we're now fully 1 week, 8 days in fact, into this story, 8 days since the White House published that memorandum of the conversation that took place between Donald Trump and the President of Ukraine. And the White House can still offer absolutely no fact-based defense of the President's conduct in that call. The quid pro quo that appeared to exist. The President of Ukraine saying he wanted to buy more defensive Javelin missiles from the United States, and the President of the United States immediately saying, I want to ask you to do us a favor, though. And that favor, of course, was digging up dirt on former Vice President Joe Biden. They have no defense of it, and as a result, President Trump is getting angrier and angrier that the impeachment process is getting more of a head of steam behind it.
Well, speaking of his sort of mood shifting to sort of anger, Simon, Mr. Trump's special envoy for Ukraine will speak to congressional committee staff today. What should we expect from Kurt Volker?
Mr. Trump's former special envoy to Ukraine, because Kurt Volker resigned last Friday from what had been a voluntary, unpaid role at the U.S. State Department. Kurt Volker is very well known here in Washington, D.C. to all of us who have been on the circuit for a while. He is a straight shooter. He is not ideologically in tune with Donald Trump. He certainly isn't ideologically in tune with some of the people in Donald Trump's orbit involved in this crisis, including the president's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. And I'm told by people who know Kurt Volker well that he is going to say that he offered to connect the president's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, to senior figures within Ukraine because he hoped that that was going to lay the basis for Rudy Giuliani to understand better the topography of the landscape in Ukraine, and he was hoping that his action was going to defuse what he saw as a threat to U.S. national security, namely Rudy Giuliani's freelancing in Ukraine on the president's behalf. So if President Trump is expecting any kind of assist from Kurt Volker in this closed-door deposition that he's going to be giving in a few hours' time up on Capitol Hill, I suspect he's going to be very disappointed.
Yes, 8:40 in the morning for you over there in Washington, D.C. A long day ahead. Thanks very much for that. Simon Marks speaking to us from the U.S. Capitol.